welcome to Zee Commodity Capsule. Let's start with Brent crude prices, which are hovering below $79 a barrel on Wednesday, extending losses to a third consecutive session. And with this, the crude oil prices are hovering close to lowest levels since 13 July. In last 2 days, Brent crude prices have shed nearly 13 to 14% and this is bringing its weekly decline also to a more than 10% as optimism grew over a potential interim agreement to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, boosting the supply outlook. Now, Qatar said interim proposal had been prepared and both Washington and Tehran indicated that negotiations to restore the access to the vital waterway were making progress. President Donald Trump had earlier called off planned military action against Iran to give diplomacy a chance while reiterating his demand for the swift reopening of Hormuz. Iran is reportedly weighing a proposal to allow European countries to clear mines from the strait and said discussions with Oman on securing the safe shipping routes were advancing. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, also continues its talks with Yemen's Houthi militants through Omani mediators in an effort to keep the conflict in the Red Sea from escalating further. Gold prices, meanwhile, have climbed above $4,200 an ounce, nearly $75 to $80 higher on Wednesday and hovering currently close to 18th June high, rising for the third trading session as investors assess the reports of an imminent deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which could ease the inflation concerns and lower the likelihood of near-term Federal Reserve interest rate hike. Having said so, markets trimmed the expectations for a September Fed rate hike to around 57%, down from earlier 67%. Investors await a fresh batch of US labor market data for further clues on Fed's policy outlook, with ADP's July private payrolls report due later today. Gold-backed exchange-traded funds, meanwhile, in China continue to attract inflows as institutional investors maintain support for bullion above key $4,000 an ounce level. Silver prices, meanwhile, sharply surged above $61.5 an ounce on Wednesday, hovering closer to its 1-month high, rising for third trading session. Copper prices on LME, although have trimmed a little lower, are continuing to hold above the key $14,000 a metric ton mark. With this, prices have surged to 2.5-month highs, surmounting the psychological level of the $14,000 a ton mark, first time since early June. Yangshan copper premium ticked down to $110 a ton on Tuesday. Red metal has been buoyed by waning inventories as more material was pulled into US ahead of potential tariff on refined copper. Now, total copper stocks on LME registered warehouses have fallen consistently since May to 238,350 tons on Wednesday, marking a decrease of nearly 40% since the end of May. Zinc futures have climbed to its highest level since June 2022 and hovering very close to $3,700 a ton amid supply side risks in China. Heavy rainfall and flooding hits part of China, raising concerns about potential disruptions to mining and smelting operations. Glencore reported a 21% annual decline in production in the first half of 2026, though it has maintained its full-year output guidance. Seabought wheat, meanwhile, has fallen below $6.5 per bushel, hitting its lowest level since July 13, as falling oil prices weighed on broader agricultural markets. Last but not the least, the global raw sugar prices on ICE exchange rose to 3-week high above 15 cents a pound on Tuesday, as adverse weather in several countries reinforced the expectations that the market could shift into deficit in the 2026-27 season.